Hi, thanks for coming back to the channel. This is Wasabi. This is the second video about the equipment changes in the new version 1.10. So we're going to start and look at tiers 2 to 5 in this particular video. So we're on tier 2 vehicles at the moment, and you can see at the bottom here there's only one equipment slot and there's also one consumable slot. So that means you can only add one type of equipment, and we'll get to the consumables in a second. So you click on the equipment slot and you'll see what choices you have available. You'll see for equipment that you do have in your depot, for equipment that may have been demounted, and some players saying, oh, my equipment's disappeared. It'll be in your depot, and when you come back and choose equipment, you'll see any quantities that you do have showing here, saying 6, for example, in this case. So it means I've got 6 of those in my depot. Improved hardening, that's actually a new piece of equipment, but it's actually been put together from a couple of the older ones that were not being widely used and been relabeled, and combining, as you can see, 2 types of effects. So this one adds actually to your vehicle hit points, which is a useful feature for some players, and suspension durability, which can stop you getting tracked, well, at a lesser rate. So again, showing I've got 2 of those components in my garage. The rest of them show a cost, and you'll see that the cost of these new equipment items for the lower tiers is actually well reduced from before. If we take, for example, camouflage net, previously that was 200,000 credits, and now it's 50,000 credits, so much more affordable for newer players, particularly ones that have only got small amounts of battles and haven't really earned a lot of credits, or been basically saving them up for buying obviously the next tank in the line. So that is basically the choices. You can see there's no scroll bar, so there's no further choices than that at this tier. So we won't add anything at this point, but clearly, obviously, well, let's say we'll add improved ventilation. You highlight it, and then that will appear in the slot. If I commit to that by saying apply, then we'll take it from my depot and apply it. Now, word of warning, once you apply it in the new model, you will be charged for removing it, either in the form of a demounting kit or using a small amount of gold, which I believe is still 10 gold for demounting. Otherwise, you still have a choice of destroying it. When you sell a vehicle, I believe you can automatically demount it at no cost, in which case it does go back into your depot, but I won't guarantee that. In this case, I won't apply it straight away. We'll cancel that, and then we'll go to the next choice, which is consumables, and that just changes the type of options displayed. So it's really the same interface, but just a different page of data. And you can see you've got the normal choices of repair kits, first aid kits, and manual fire extinguisher. But again, you've only got one slot, so you need to choose one that is more related to the type of risk that you think you're facing in your tank. Now, whether that is that your crew get killed by, say, artillery more often than not, or whether your tracks break because of, again, being hit in the tracks, or your vehicle is prone to fire. So you need to judge which one you need the most of, but obviously you can change this after each battle, depending on what you see. Now, with one slot, I would probably prioritize either first aid kit or fire extinguisher, given that the crew can repair the track and just take a longer time without additional skills and without the repair kit, but it will get repaired, won't just stay broken. So that one you can probably leave off if you've only got one slot. All right, so we'll close that. That's the tier 2. We'll then go to tier 3 and see what differences there are there. So we'll switch and we'll pick another vehicle, if I can find it. So here we've got another vehicle, and you can see now tier 3 we get 2 slots for both equipment and for consumables. So pretty much the same sort of choices. There's no bonuses at these tiers for any of the slots as there are in the higher tiers, but you basically get the same choices, the same cost of equipment at this tier, but you get to mount 2 different equipment types. So again, choose them based on what the vehicle type is and what you're trying to improve on the vehicle. And similarly for consumables, you've got the same choice of consumables, but again, you can choose 2 for these vehicles, and those down the bottom here, you've got obviously the auto resupply, so that when they're used in a battle, then they'll be added back in at the end of it before you get to battle again. So that is pretty much the differences with tier 2 is, tier 3 is you're getting that extra slot. And we'll go and have a look at tier 4 and pick a tier 4 tank. Apologies if you're seeing some premium tanks there. I don't have a lot of different tanks at these tiers. Here you can see that we get 3 equipment slots and 3 consumable slots. So again, we're just going up tiers and we're seeing more. In fact, I'll just pick a different tank here. And you can see this is one where I've got existing equipment in those slots. I've got a gun laying drive, which is a class 1, which is actually the highest tier. And you can see the purchase cost there is 600,000. That indicates that's actually for a high tier tank. And similarly, I've got improved ventilation class 2, which is the middle tier. And you can see that's got a cost of 200,000. But each of them are marked with a little yellow arrow at the top, which indicates that it's higher class equipment. It's not suited for that vehicle directly. But don't get dismayed by that. If you've already got it mounted and you don't want to remove it, you won't lose any of the benefit of it. They'll still operate at the normal rate. So it's not like having crew trained for the wrong vehicle, getting a penalty. You won't have any penalty at all. You can leave it there. However, if you demount it, it will go back into depot and you won't be able to mount it back to the same vehicle. However, you will have a choice. So if we click on an empty slot, for example, and we bring up that choice, you can see there is the other choices, and they're still at the 50,000 range, whereas the ones that we've got on the vehicle are for higher tier, and there are higher costs that go along with it. So when you get to the higher tiers and you're expected to earn more credits, then obviously that cost is a bit more in line with what you would be earning there. So you can basically choose any additional components and have 3 components running at the same time, or 3 equipment modules running at the same time. And I can add that to the ones that are these high tiers, but it won't change the way that those particular ones work. But you get the choice of 3. And similarly, we won't go into the consumables, but again, you can see the choice of 3 of those consumables that you can have. So again, the regular choice of both repair kits, medical kits, and fire extinguisher is what you typically put in there. However, again, you've got other choices, and I'd urge you to go and have a look at what the benefits of those choices are and make your own mind up what you need for your particular play style. So if we look at tier 5 as the last one in this particular discussion, and we pick our tank, then you'll see again you've got 3 slots and 3 slots for consumables, and we get an additional slot for directives. So on this particular tank, I've already got equipment on there. Again, you'll see that indicator that says the equipment on there is for a high tier tank. However, again, as I said before, there's no penalty for having those on there. They will operate at their normal benefit to you for that particular item. So for example, the coated optics, which adds 10% to your view range, you'll get the same 10% mounted in this particular vehicle. And here, the directive slot, I've got one for additional camo cover because my crew isn't fully trained for camouflage, and that adds that bonus to it. So that's pretty much it for the changes for tiers 2 to 5. So again, slots that increase up the range. In fact, let me just open that up, because this is one thing that's changed at tier 5. You'll see the increase to 200,000 credits per item. So again, if you've got items in the slots that are taken up that are for higher tiers and you're going to use them in higher tier tanks later on, you don't want to sell these or have to buy a 600,000 credit item. When you get to that higher tier, you could demount those at that time and then move them on to that higher tier tank, and then re-equip this lower tier tank with a cheaper version of the same thing if you obviously were going to keep playing that particular tank. All right, so that's sort of the end of the video. If you do have any questions, please leave a comment. I'll respond to those as quickly as I can, or you can obviously contact me on Discord, or you can contact me on the forums. Thanks very much for watching.